Hey there, my name is Michelle Brogan, and welcome to the Under the Influence podcast. I'm so thankful you are joining this journey with me as we hear real stories of how to make real impact. I pray as you listen to this that you will be pushed into kingdom momentum to fulfill all that God has called you to do. Thank you for taking the journey with me. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Under the Influence. And I happen to have today my younger brother.
Here we are.
Patrick Cook. I mean, listen, all the way from LA. He's here for 24 hours and we got him on the podcast.
Absolutely.
So I can't tell you how excited I am because I just love Patrick Cook. We've known each other now, I feel like 8-9 years. I don't even know.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
He works with us at our Dance Revolution convention. He is someone that when he walked in the doors, I was like, this is the brother, you know, I was an only child, and the family that God keeps bringing, I was like, that would have been the brother that we would have wheezed all night long, laughing and all the things.
Yeah.
And he just makes me laugh. He's so deep, spiritually deep. I've seen him bring to the table so many deep conversations about the Lord, so much wisdom. He is a dancer, and I love that he also teaches dance, but he's brought something to the table that I've really never quite experienced before with our ministry. And he is just his conversation, the way he conversates with people, the way that he engages with people. I just love him. I love his family. I call myself grandma number 3 with his 2 incredible granddaughters and his beautiful wife, Jolene. And so I just want to say thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That was really nice. Okay. You said in the intro, you said there's something that I bring that is specific. What have you noticed?
What have I noticed? You bring about you. Okay, so the thing is your work ethic. You bring wisdom. You bring history. You bring the deep things of God. You bring the challenges and questions about God. You bring the humor. You bring the personality. You bring the friendships. You bring in the vulnerability. What else do you want to know?
It did sound like I was asking you to like compliment me, but no, I was curious because, I think I'm really into those deeper things because I came to faith so late. Mm-hmm. To me, late. Because I did not grow up in church. So I grew up just, Sundays were just another day to rehearse your dance steps, and attend competition. That was just another part of it. And so I am always just thankful to God that there would be anything I say that's deep at all. Not that I feel like I'm behind, and God's not wasting his time, but he could do in 6 seconds what takes 6 years. He can just make it work on your behalf. And so I'm always so floored that anyone's receiving anything. I just am very grateful.
Well, and the humbleness. I think one big thing for us is, we check ego at the door with our ministry.
Sure.
If there's any ego, it's really hard to work with us and it's really hard to be around. But with Patrick, I remember the first time we had our staff meeting. So we have this staff retreat that we do our meeting, that we bring people in. And I know I'd love to hear later about that too. Just like when we talk about what you've done and then just first impressions of things and what it's like now being there. But you were pretty quiet. I remember we were at this breakfast place and it was you and a couple other people's first year. And I was like, he's going to be quiet. I mean, we've talked on the phone. I feel like he was a little more engaged, but he was observing. Patrick loves to observe, and he was observing, but I was also nervous because I was like, I know what it takes to do what we do. I know just even spiritually, just all the things. I wanted to make sure we were on the same page. And I remember we had someone come to my house and she was delivering like just prophetic words for people. And she began to pray in the spirit. And I was like, where's Patrick with all this? And Patrick's like, I think I have an interpretation. And I was like, it was just like sync together in the moment. Like we can do this. This is family. I don't know if you remember that moment and the first time you came in the car for DR.
Okay, so many fun things. So coming into DR, it was like I'd never been on a dance ministry. I'd never worked on a dance convention before, but it was something that I'd been actually praying for. So it was actually like such a met prayer because I had been talking to other people about how can I, like, God, I really want to do like a dance convention, but like I'm in my faith and I want to make those work. I want that to be combined, but I don't know, maybe 4 weekends, 5 weekends tops, which is like perfect because we do 4 cities and a staff weekend does a 5th. And it just was like literally exactly what I've been talking about. It was this. But I had just never seen it. I didn't know what I was getting into. So I think because I was like my wife came up in a Lutheran tradition, and we served at a Lutheran church, and we really loved those kids so much. But the culture of the church was very like traditional, and it was kind of a little dry, I would say, a little dry. And I loved those people, and I still was able to encounter God in that space. It didn't matter like what they were bringing. I just knew I will be with the Lord here, you know. And so I didn't know what Texas and Christianity was going to look like specifically. So I just remember coming to DR and just keeping my eyes open, being like, okay, cool. There's a lot of lingo. Everyone like could speak the lingo of Christianity. And I was like, this is really exciting. I'm not around this often. But I was like, I just wanted to like, how do we do this? Like, are we talking the talk? Are we walking the walk? What's that going to look like? And when your friends started praying in tongues, I got almost like angry in my spirit. I was like, well, okay, cool. Who has interpretation? Because she's just going off. And what's happening here? And I had a check in my own spirit where I realized I don't have to be just judging this moment. So Lord, if you have interpretation from me, I'm burning pretty hot for this right now. I want to see an interpretation. God, would you use me? Like, is that for me? And then as she's praying, my mind and my imagination just started kind of capturing different images of what she was saying. And I just was like, I was pretty like taken aback because that never happened for me before. It hasn't happened since. But I just simply, I think I just wrote everyone's name down and I just kind of wrote what I saw as she was praying for each person. And when she was done, I was like, okay, cool. She opened the door for speaking in tongues. Right. I guess I'll walk through the door with interpretation. And I felt kind of as the new kid. So I was a little nervous to share, but I think I have interpretation. Just felt like, let's be bold. If we're going to do it, let's be about it. And I shared down the line.
And that was the moment.
That was the moment. Yeah, that was huge. That was really, I think when I started working with you and doing DR stuff, I realized so much of my Christian walk up to that point had been just being thrown in the deep end. And this is a moment where I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to still be learning by doing. It's not like a course. I'm not going to like take a course and like how to be at DR, because it's very much like you see something in us and then you empower us to go do that thing. And so I really quickly had to be like, what is my thing? What am I doing here? What do I have to offer? And I think you gave a lot of space for me to discover that and then implement it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And listen, we threw you in the first year. We're like, you're going to be, if you haven't seen our productions, you need to come see our productions. But Patrick's been Jesus for a very long time.
Yes.
And walking in that and just also, with the stuff, sometimes it's like throwing you into things that I know in the moment, our flesh is like, what is happening? And that space of like learning and growing, and how you even took that moment with what I remember with my friend of like, okay, so I can be like this in this moment, because I was thinking the same thing. There better be an interpretation, and then molding and letting God use you in the moments. I could be like, wait, what? And then it's us that brings something that if we're open to that. And he's played Jesus. He's, when we started doing baptismals on the road, I remember I was just like looking at all the stuff, like we're going to do baptismals. We're going to get a jacuzzi. We're going to pump it up. We're going to put hot water in it, and we're going to baptize people on the road. And I have so many videos of you, which are some of my favorite pictures and videos, watching you baptize people at a dance convention. I mean, it's just been pretty radical what the Lord has done. So take us back to, I love turning on the Oscars and seeing you doing contemporary piece and seeing you do Ken for Barbie. I've watched, I feel like I'm your mom watching sometimes. Like I just have like my popcorn ready at movies that you've been in and the Oscars or whatever shows. I mean, you're always on something. And that's what I love too, is you're not like blasting that all the time on social media. You're not like texting all of us like, hey, I'm doing this big thing. Like it's just for you. You're just doing you. You're doing what God calls you to do. Sure. And so that's another thing where I'm like, wait, you were just in a movie? Wait, I'm at the movie theater and there you are on the screen. Like you didn't even tell any of us. So you do all these things. Tell us a little bit more about testimony of how God found you. And you have this really interesting, unique testimony of like being in the world and not of the world, but still in the world, even through your journey with God.
Absolutely. So I was working this job. It actually was interesting because I'd been on tour with this artist, and then it was time for the auditions for the next following tour. And I was rejected, which floored me.
Which sideline?
Yeah, tell
he
me.
worked with my favorite artist at
Oh,
one time,
yeah.
and that's really what got him the job at first.
Oh, yeah.
I went in I was like, wait, he's worked with Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Oh my goodness.
keep going.
These are later years.
That's
Later years with Paula. But I had been rejected from this tour, and I was super confused and so displaced. I auditioned for 2 more world tours, made it a little bit further in those auditions, but ultimately kept getting rejected. I was like, what am I doing? What am I supposed to be doing? Mm-hmm. And I end up like going completely left field and working this like modern contemporary show for 4 months. And in those 4 months, I meet my friend Jordan, who is just loves the Lord, was going out and street preaching, evangelizing to people, just praying for words. He would just go with his friends. So it was just like, let's go pray for people. Now, did not grow up in church. I had no framework for anything he was saying. So he would share these stories with me, knowing, and I get a sense that God was moving on me and just kind of pursuing me. But what started really getting me listening was he had shared some flippant comment on the job where, he just said like, if I have to die for my faith, so be it. And to me, as like, oh, I'm completely ruled by a fear of death that is motivating all of my like hedonistic desires to just like go live in the world and like, do all the things. And just for him to be so free from something that I was so ruled by, I was like, I need to know more about this. You die for your faith? What is your faith then? What are you doing? What is this? And so he kept answering my questions. I had a lot of questions for him. Like, oh, what about this thing? And later though, he just asked me like, what do you even know about Jesus? I'm like, he's the guy for Christians. I'm like, that's it? I know Christians really like this guy, but I don't know anything else. And so he shares the gospel with me. And afterwards, kind of offhandedly, is just like, I'd love to pray for you if you'd like. And later he told me that he was not expecting me to say yes. He was just like, I feel like when you preach the gospel, you just kind of have to say that. He's like, you kind of, offer the invite. And so we're in a hotel because we were about to perform the show. And I was like, either I say this prayer and nothing happens, and I never tell anyone about this weird prayer I said in this hotel room, or I do pray and everything changes. And so I prayed, and where he placed his hand on my shoulder, I felt peace. And more so, I felt the kind of peace that you feel when the fan cuts off after it's been on for a long time. So when the AC cuts off and you're like, I didn't even notice how loud I was. I didn't know how loud the world was, or my own thoughts, or my own experience was. And so I really freaked out by that. It was the first time I ever felt like a oneness peace with God. That peace that you feel in worship when you're just communing and you're just in that deep soak place. I was gifted that. It was almost like I was like sobered. Like he just like clear vision, clear experience. I was like in my body. Like, oh my goodness, here I am. What was that? I'm like, what did you do? Where your hand is touching me, I feel peace. How did you do that? And I just kept following that. I was like, if that's what this is, I have to see where this goes. And so in that, then it was learning way more about who Jesus is and what he's called us to and how to live into that. And there was definitely like a changeover of who I'm spending my time with and what I'm prioritizing, even with jobs. Like, okay, cool. I'm probably not going to take the very sensual Vegas show job anymore. That's probably off the table. Like, just things like that. Yeah. No magic mics, none of that. None of that for me. None of
dear.
That for me. And so, yeah, it was like a slow gathering of what I was called to and who I am. And so God had to really dethrone dance in my heart. Like my whole identity was, I will become a working dancer. That's all I'm going to think about, all I'm going to care about. I'm never going to take a day off. I had no concept of rest. I was just like obsessively training or trying to network or try to get ahead and just be everywhere all the time. And so then it was like, yeah, God had to really show me what my relationship to dance even was. And it, it's not about self-promotion anymore, Patrick.
Right.
It's really not that.
What was the biggest eye-opening thing on that journey? Like those, like the first year or two,
Yeah.
where you were just like, because it doesn't happen overnight. You might have some revelation, but you keep walking in some same narratives. What were some things that really like took you back? That's like, wow, this is very different now.
Yeah. I was in a relationship that was not honoring to God, and God was like, it's time. And he told me in so many ways through different people at church, or I would go to like a random worship night and someone just tap me on the shoulder and be like, I just feel like God's saying there's someone in your life that's just kind of like,
Don't you love that?
yeah, I was just,
You reason out, it's not her.
It was, yeah. I found a lot of ways to drag my feet on that choice. And it was, I had a friend, I was kind of just talking about faith with someone, and they were just asking me, like, how do you know when you're praying and you're doing what you think God is asking you to do, this person's not a Christian. How do you know it's not just what you want? And you're just kind of like making yourself believe that God said you should have it. And I look back at this moment, like God has asked me out of this relationship because full of soul ties, felt like I was like cutting my own arm off to get out of it. It's not something I wanted to do. And I was like, because God's ways are higher than my ways, he asks me to operate in a way that is not natural for me.
Right.
It's not what I'm going to choose. And he's asking me to choose him. That was kind of like in the first 6 months. I just remember being so dramatic. I was so dramatic about it, Michelle.
You?
Oh my goodness. Yes. I was, I
don't see much of that.
Oh my goodness. I was like on my knees, like so sad that I felt like I was like, cool, to follow God means to end this relationship and pursue him in wholeheartedly in a different sense. I'm like on my knees saying, God, would you make this worth it? Like, and I had just read Elijah and the prophets at that time. So like, can you put fire on this sacrifice? Because I don't see it. This feels only for you. And it, and of course it was for me. Like he was,
Right.
but like,
That's an interesting way to see it, because when you're new at it and you haven't had any fruit from seeing his character, I mean, that's going to touch a lot of people, because they think I've got to let all this go. It's just dying to flesh, not understanding that you get life back, a different kind of life. Oh my
goodness. He's never going to ask you to do something, one, that he hasn't done. Whatever he's asked us to do.
So gracious of him.
Yeah. He's like, I've led you. I've led it. I've done it.
All right.
Follow my footsteps. Follow me. But he's always going to ask things that are for our freedom. And even regardless of, I know whoever's listening to this, I don't know what everyone's theology is on tithing, but tithing releases you from a love of money.
Yes.
God doesn't need your money. Heaven is caked in gold and pearls, like and gemstones. Right. He does not need, my 10% to achieve what he wants to do on this earth. But he does let me partner with something that sets me free. Right.
It's like fasting. I think we think we're going to fast to move God. It's like it's fasting to move you. Yeah. It's for you to die to your flesh.
Absolutely. I remember I heard my friend Jesse, he's a pastor, and he says fasting is how you get rid of doubt.
Wow.
So nice. What a great way to think about it, right? He's like, we can have so much faith, and we want to build up faith, but it can get kind of like in like this emotional place, like I'm building up this faith, but like fasting weakens the body and kills doubt in you. That I love the working of that.
Right. It's powerful.
Yeah.
So you were in this relationship, you were being super dramatic, you were throwing yourself on the floor, like what's happening? So what happened next?
What happened next? Well, what was so funny is I'm talking to my now brother-in-law around that time, and I'm like, why am I even with this girl? There are girls like Jolene out there. I'm like,
so you're literally saying it about her, but not with her.
Correct. I'm like, Jolene was this like archetype is her brother. Of a girl.
You're talking.
Yeah. So my now brother-in-law is the one who led me to Christ. So I married his sister, and that's what happened. So she was this like archetype of like, what an incredible Christian woman. There have got to be girls like that out there. I'm living in sin. I know I'm living in sin. God is asking me to not do this. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And feeling that like flesh spirit conversation, which even as I was making that choice, actually, I remember praying to God and being like, God, why can't I have both? And I heard like the sweetest voice tell me, you can. that was not the Lord's voice. Because
I
then
was
I heard the
about
Lord's,
to say,
but then I heard,
I'm like,
because then I heard the Lord's voice right afterwards say, but that's not what I have for you.
Okay.
And it was so like sickly sweet and everything I wanted to hear. And then just truth right afterwards. And it was the first time I'd ever heard God speak to me in real time.
Right.
And it was sweet and gross. That voice.
Sweet and gross.
It was sweet and gross, like too much sugar.
Oh, wow.
You can have everything. You can have it both.
Right.
Like just wanting me in compromise, you know?
Well, it's like the verse that talks about everything can be beneficial or permissible, but not beneficial.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jillian.
Oh,
No.
my
I love
love.
Jillian.
My love. She's wonderful.
So, you met her.
I met her probably a couple months before I even got saved. So she was just a friend of mine for about a year. I would call her to ask her questions about faith so I could talk to my girlfriend at the time about faith.
No.
I did. Yeah. I was like,
Wow.
I feel like this girl needs to get saved. Like, I don't know how to talk to her about these things that
Oh,
I'm
my
experiencing. I'm a new
goodness.
Christian. I don't know how to do any of this.
Right.
Knowing God's asking me to get out of it. And so, yeah, my salvation and meeting Jillian and us getting together are like so interwoven.
Wow.
But yeah, she and I kept talking. I think I broke up. I got out of that relationship in like April. We started dating in July. Just like 3 months later.
Wow.
And got married a year after that, which is crazy.
Right.
Honestly,
That is a crazy
it's so
story.
crazy. And that's how we met, and that's how we got together and married, and
And she's amazing.
she's wonderful.
So take me back to, okay, so we've been doing this thing, you get saved. So
Yeah.
you're still going, you're getting these jobs. I've seen you, like I said, talk shows at night, all these things where I always wonder, because I'm not there with you, and I've worked within the world system. It wasn't very long. The Lord called me out of it.
Yeah.
And so, and not even just like called me out of it, he wanted me to start DR. So
Right.
there was no room for me to continue to do the things
sure.
that I was doing.
Yeah.
So when I see you, and I always wonder, what is it like with Patrick, especially when you had to move somewhere for like 6 months, 8 months, wasn't it? Like to
Yeah, it was
Boston?
6 months. Yeah,
6
yeah.
months that he moved to do a movie is when you're in these places and maybe there's not a common interest, maybe there's not a common commonality spiritually, but you feel called and assigned to those places. What does that
Yeah.
look like with you, with even how you're rehearsing with people, how you're engaging in conversation? How do you keep tight, where
Yeah.
it's like you are the Lord has called you clearly into the world, but to stay pure, to stay focused, to stay fresh?
Yeah, everything's really far in LA, so you're in the car a lot. So when I'm driving to rehearsals, I try my best to really try to hold these people in my heart, even before I know them, before I know who's even there, that my heart would just be broken for these people, that would just be this bleeding heart for them. And so when I was in Boston for those 6 months, I knew, I was like, okay, cool. I get to love these people for 6 months. That's never true in LA. It's like a 1 week job or a 2 week job max. You don't get to have this like lengthy time to invest in people. And the Lord would just bring me to tears. Just like, Lord, just keep breaking my heart. Like I need to love them. I want to so badly. And what that ended up looking like in practicality is I tried to take each dancer out for lunch throughout those 6 months, hear their story, hear who they are, get to know them, try to just like love on them where they are. And and just try to honestly be like a ministry of presence to them. Like, I'm just going to hold space for you the way I believe God is holding space for you to just come to the table. You don't know that God is pursuing you, but he's using me to pursue you. And just, really meeting people where they are.
Do you feel like you get pushback, or do you feel like people get drawn to you, especially when there's issues?
Yeah. I am not scared to have like intense conversations about doctrine or beliefs or that kind of stuff. Honestly, it just never comes up.
Wow.
Because I think what people are really asking is, am I loved?
Right.
That's like the main question. As everyone's like unknowingly hungering for God. If you're not walking with him, you're starving. Right. And so they're starving for the love of God. So when you extend that love of God, it's like, you're just meeting a person. Right. And just trying to, and without like affirming everything that's going on, you're just like, I'll make space for you, and I want to see you. Like when Jesus is like with like the tax collectors and the prostitutes, and they're like, does he even know who these people are?
Right.
And he's like, exactly. That's why I'm here. I know who these people are. And by no means is there like, do I see myself in like any hierarchy? Like, oh, I'm so pure or whatever. No, not at all. But just, I just get my heart into a place of just truly loving and serving them. And so it sometimes looks like praying for people. If that gets to come up, that's wonderful. Sometimes it looks like calling evil. Like a lot of girls do this thing where they say something really horrible and they say, but it's okay. Or they just like have that story of like, oh yeah, like this one time I was treated so poorly on set and it was like such a rough set for all the girls, but like, it was okay. And just being a man who doesn't need anything from them to just simply say, that was not okay.
Right.
That was never okay. I'm so sorry.
Right.
And they try to laugh it off. And you're just like, no, I'm gonna, you said it, you brought this to the table, so I'm going to treat a very intense story with some care and love. And I'm just going to be here with you in that. And not try to like move around it. Right. Because I think they brought it up for some random reason. Just because it's
stuck in there.
Yeah, it's stuck in there. And so I want to help you get this out.
Right.
So, yeah.
So when you are doing jobs, so like when I think about, it doesn't matter to me who you are as a performing artist, a dancer, whatever, even in the space of like being a Christian, it's fun to get out and perform. It's fun to get to do the things and get the costuming and see the audience and all that.
I love it.
But what was it for you, like coming in, let's just say it was DR. I have a feeling it was DR when someone's like, okay, we're going to do some spontaneous work. We're going to let the Lord lead your dance, or you're in environments where you're being asked maybe for those first times of, let's utilize what you've been choreographed on. Let's utilize what you've danced with other people on, what you've been hired to do. And we're going to throw you on a stage. Because I remember those first couple years, I was like, you're going to get up here. You're going to be Jesus. You're the Father, and you're going to move over here. And it was just like these spontaneous moments that you're thrown into. What was that like for you? And what did the Lord teach you in that?
Yeah, I think anytime I get to play Jesus, it's very fun to remember that he's also inside me. So it's not like character work or I'm like putting on Jesus. Right. It's like, how do I just let you be yourself in me and get out of your way through dance? And I think, so in my dancing, I try to be very like discovery based. So when I'm dancing, I'm trying to just stay really aware and not be like too much in my head of like, am I looking cool or whatever? And so when we're doing those spontaneous activations or trying to create these stories, like you're healer. Okay, cool. Right. You're healer. You go and dance whatever you think that means over this person. I think I'm just learning while I'm dancing. I think just trying not to set out with anything other than, I think maybe it could start here. Right. And then the rest is, all right, God, where are we going? And then trying to stay really soft in my mind and not get too fast, not get too caught up in the music or what I think as like a choreography would look interesting or, because when you're like, I love dancing with Kat so much. And there are so many moments where Kat and I just, we lock in on the same idea at the same time and it just starts happening. And those moments, I'm like, without any words, we're just able to really run after what we think God's doing. I think there was a tricky part for me when I was doing Healer. I've told you this, I think. And he's talking about, we do these activations at DR. So sometimes like he's played Jesus in our productions, but there was years that we had people wear t-shirts that were like past, present, future. And we really believe in utilizing people getting to see movement through, dancing those things out. And I know we had the Red Doors one year, I think it was, or something like that was Healer. And then you were Champion. You've been a lot of different things. Yeah. So what happened with Healer? So with Healer, that season where you were like, all right, Patrick, I think you should wear the Healer sweatshirt. Jeline had like undiagnosed stomach pain that was like going on for months and months and months. And I had like on my dad's side, just a lot of people were passing away. I saw, just tough stuff, tough stuff. And it was so challenging to my flesh to remember that he is Healer. And some of it was honestly like going through the motions Like, I know that it's good to continually pray for my wife for her healing, so I'm going to do that, despite how I feel about it. You know, I'm so fed up with this or whatever.
Right.
You know, I'm tired of not seeing movement. So, but I'll still pray. Just trying to get to that point where just surrendering, where it's like, do I actually believe prayer works? And so with healer, that just was so confronting. It was confronting every time. I was like, there she goes again, giving me that healer sweatshirt. She could give me, you know, adoptive
Any other
father,
one.
or, you know, one of these more, I don't know, powerful things, you know, but where I could hide.
Right.
But it was, yeah, I just believe God was using you to keep that conversation going in my heart, where it's like, do you still believe me?
Right.
Do you still believe that I heal?
Can you think of a or a defining moment when you've played Jesus, or production wise, or when you're teaching or something, that you really had an encounter with God through your movement, through a rehearsed type thing? I mean, I feel like I've seen us a couple times where we've been in moments we weren't expecting, whether it was a rehearsal or it wasn't maybe all the times on the stage. I mean, I know I'm always having some kind of encounter with the Lord over there, crying my eyes out, watching everything. But like 1 or 2 defining moments, and why that you felt when you were, you know, dancing, being something or somebody.
Yeah. This happened boardroom.
Yeah.
I remember that day in rehearsal. So we were rehearsing, and the final scene was the heaven scene, and
coming to the table.
Yeah. Just this feast with God, the fullness, you know, he sets a table before me and getting to encounter him. And I have for years, since being saved and reading the Bible for the first time, just wanted to know, what is it talking about when David is dancing with all of his might before the Ark of the Covenant to welcome in the presence of God? What is that? I'm a dancer. I should know, but I kind of should know. If anyone's going to discover that, you know, I really need you to show me that. And there was something about the movement, something about the music, something about the level of commitment in the room. And, you know, we were just dancing for our neighbor. You know, everyone was just in full force, that I felt, this is that. This is dancing with all of my might. And it was so overwhelming because I had been praying for so long to just experience it. God, I don't need to put it in words, but can you just let me feel that? And since then, I've gotten to experience it a couple more times. But it just kind of like initiated like, hey, there's this over here.
I remember being in the room. Something shifted, and then I saw you, and then I saw us. And
I left the room. I just started crying. I was like, I need to enjoy this.
Right. It was
like
incredible. And it was the end of the weekend, and it just happened. Just so the Lord does that. He does things where we're like, let's do this. It's going to happen then. That he'll just come in these like weaving, interesting times where we've prayed it. It might not have been the moment you prayed it, but then it comes at this unexpected time of answered prayer. How is it for you? For when you're talking about this, you know, just taking it back to healer, is like you're having to, you know, people don't understand with like DR and stuff. You're rehearsing at the wee hours of the night when you've been traveling all day, and there's tiredness, and then going up and teaching and all this. Where do you find, which you kind of answered, but I want you to go there again, because it's been the running theme in the last couple podcasts I've done with people that lead worship or they have to lead things, is when there's discouragement, when there's still questions. You know, it's not about doubting God so much. It's just like, why is this still happening? Why can't we figure out what's going on with their stomach? Why, you know, and even in this last season for us, losing a student at the epicenter and people sending me pictures of the Dominion tour when she was sitting on that throne, and you're just like, how to keep, you know, what is your kind of, not to say push, but where do you find that in him, where you're just like, I might not be feeling this right now. I'm super tired, but I've got to get up, engage, put my whole heart out there and see his glory come. Like, what process do you take in that?
Yeah. When my spirit feels broken and my body is weak, knowing that what we're doing is so much bigger than me. Like, these are the experiences I'm having in my own self, does not excuse me from putting down my calling. And understand there's like a way to talk about burnout that's like honoring of a season.
Right.
And sometimes the season is go be healed.
Right.
You've written some emotional checks you cannot cash, and you're on empty, and you've pushed past yourself, and God is doing a thing to like pull you out. But I think when there's like, how do we keep going and digging deeper? It's you just start dancing for your neighbor. You start. This is you now. You are no longer someone I'm on stage with. You're now my running. You're my running partner, and we're going to go faster and further. Or remembering that if no one showed up, it was worth it because it's the heart check of, am I doing this to honor God?
Right.
And if it's about God and it's not about me, it's about his worthiness, I can plug into that. That's downhill for me. If I can have true vision of what we're here to do, it's just vision. You know, for the joy set before me, I will endure. You know, yeah.
And when you're doing it, so then take this now to where you've got a booking next week. Let's say you're going to be doing a commercial. You're in these moments and places and spaces where we're praying, we're prophesying, we're like, there, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then you go into these other environments that you're called to. Like, how do you transfer, like, how does that transfer to you about impact? Because I believe if God called you to that assignment, whether it's a commercial or a Geico commercial, like whatever it is, that there's got to be that same fervor and passion because it's your gift. It's that worship that you have with him. How do you get challenged in that? Kind of where is that for you when you're doing stuff like that?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think it's so different when you're coming to people who are hungry and they want what you have to offer. It's so different when, if part of it has to be like, no, I need to convince you that you need Jesus. That's like a different, totally different backdrop to what's happening. So I try to go as far as I can to simply do my best to try to pass it to the people around me, you know, and it's like, it becomes less about demonstrations of power, but it then goes into like the quiet life and having the indwelling presence of God and being a well of peace and being the reason why people feel like they can exhale in the room. We're like, oh, you're here now. Awesome. It's going to be fine. We're going to be okay. Like you can kind of walk with presence.
You do bring that.
That's my hope. My hope is to bring that, is to, you know, bring solution. There's so many things that we're free from in Christ that the world is simply not free from. So to go in that space and just be a free person is such a loud testimony and such a loud witness. You know, if everyone is losing their minds about some idea, and I'm like, look, I'm seated in heavenly places. I'm okay.
Right.
Like, I don't think, not to belittle anyone's thing, but I'm not nearly as bothered by these small infractions that are very stressful for people. And that becomes kind of the ministry, is to be like a quiet force. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And even like I said, in our spaces, even though we're the ones, you know, you're at places that people are hungry, there is something that I think sometimes where people want us to bring such power and dominion and authority when I'm like, sometimes we need somebody to call out the storm to be still. Sometimes we need to have the rest and be able to fellowship in ways that we can break bread and talk and eat together, to see the peace of God, to see the not the neutrality, but like you just bring that to a lot of places and spaces that we've really loved watching you. So tell me about the greatest maybe miracle you've had within you, or greatest miracle you've seen at like a DR or a staff meeting, like Now or Never, whatever. What have you seen God really do through movement that's blown your mind?
I like that. Yeah. There's been there's like a bucket of fun testimonies we could talk about. We could talk about like the glory cloud. That was insane. That was crazy.
We're going to have to edit that in here. I think we have that somewhere, right?
A little bloop. Wow. Yeah, because it's the end
Tell
of the
them
weekend.
about that. I don't think people believe that stuff is real.
I
didn't know till DR. I didn't know that it was possible.
I didn't know. And then I got to see. and we do an end of the weekend kind of hurrah. We all dance. There's some funny pieces in there. There's some showcases of some really great talent from the weekend, and we end with a full company dance. Mid dance, I think it was just mid dance. We're dancing to Shekinah,
Shekinah glory.
Shekinah glory, and boy, did we have it! It was just suddenly. I think Micah had the flag, and while he's flagging, there's it in the same way light catches dust. It was full of like twinkling sparkles, and that was I didn't know what to do with that. It wasn't getting on my skin. It just was there.
Yeah.
It was just there.
Right.
And we all just noticed it. And we're like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, okay, God's on the stage, let's just enjoy this space. That was really fun.
And we weren't sitting there like, we need miracles. We need miracles. It was just like, all of a sudden he just gives you these like kisses of like, just so you know. And that was the second time it showed up at DR. But I just remember that time it just happens. And you're just sitting there like, and it didn't stay very long.
No.
It's gone.
No, yeah. It was there and then it left, and we have an awesome photo of it. I'm so glad we do.
For sure.
Because it looks superimposed.
Yeah.
But like the photo is exactly how it looked in the room. That's one. Another fun testimony was when I was super sick. Do you remember?
You mean COVID sick?
Yeah, when I was COVID sick.
Coughing
and I
on
didn't know
the food sick.
Oh my goodness. I did not cough.
He was
on
so
the food.
sick.
I was so sick.
Poor thing.
But I tested positive, so I was above reproach, to my understanding. I was doing my best. And
no, they tested you negative.
Oh yeah, I tested negative. That's what I meant. Yeah, I was negative.
And then my friend was positive. She had to sit in a room the whole time, and then you were down.
I was downstairs
doing
so
everything,
sick.
like 103. We were like, oh, it's not COVID though.
Yeah, I was like, whatever this is, it's not COVID. Oh my goodness. But we're at like a 2 a.m. production rehearsal, and I get this like maybe fourth wind. I've been going down. I was going down.
Fourth wind. You've had some.
Yeah, I had some rises and some falls, and I was like, okay, cool, some heavy breaths. And I just felt like someone had poured like God's presence on my head. And it just was, and I just was filled with energy, filled with a capacity to do this final run through at a full level, where I just felt like, oh, I can dance this completely full out. I'll be completely present to this. I'm going to dance this for my Lord. And I understood it as just like all of the prayers that had been prayed over me. That's the only way I can describe it. It just felt like warm honey of prayers. And I just was like enlivened by it.
And that's always where I feel like I get the most. I get emotional a lot, you know that. But when we're doing these rehearsals, and not everybody's young, you're looking at like 60 something people on the stage, and like nowadays there's like 15 of y'all that are over 30, 40, years old, and it's so late in the night. People have been traveling all day, but when we ask, and I'm usually like market, half market, whatever, but sometimes when people go all in, for me, that's what's so emotional, is that it's not about making it look good. It's not about perfecting it so much. It's about giving him even when we feel like we have nothing left. And that's when I feel it. And it isn't about feelings when you watch the stuff that we do, but it is about in the moment feeling his pleasure on it, feeling his glory on it. And it's usually those late night times when everybody's just pushing a little bit harder. And I remember that, because I remember somebody came up, they're like, I don't know if Patrick needs to go to the hospital. And then we did this run through, and I think I ended up just bawling afterwards, because I was like, I just watched everybody that was only by the Spirit. And so those, are some incredible times of miracles. So with people dancers at DR, people that might be watching that you work with, what do you think is the biggest key to keep? So you talked with Ingredients today about perseverance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So touch on that a little bit of like, as a dancer, people maybe that are watching that are like, I hear about the God thing too. I just don't know. Is that going to cut me off from everything? All the bookings that I want, or all the people that what's some good advice for people that might be on the edge that are like, I really want to do all those things that Patrick does. I want to do movies. I want to do late night talk show. I want to do the Oscars.
Yeah.
But they're feeling like they can't do it and worship God. What's some good advice? And then like a long haul strategy of perseverance to be able to do it like you've been doing it.
Getting some practicals out here. That's great. I think The lie is that you have to compromise.
Right.
That's the big lie. You don't need to. There's enough work to go around.
And I've watched you be blessed by so many times, like Patrick having to make decisions about bookings, or something else comes, even with us, that he's had to make decisions. Like something else comes that might be more exciting or not exciting, but it's just like an opportunity where I'm always like, let your yes be yes. And then God just keeps doing things with you and opening doors.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a really good point too. I usually, if I can make it work, the answer is yes. Always. And that makes it's really easy then to say no when you have to. It's like, I just can't. And following through on your word at your own peril, I guess, is totally fine, right? Because if you're doing it in an effort to be honoring to God, to honor with your mouth, okay, I said I was going to do this. Great. He sees it. He sees it, and he's not paying you back, but it's forming you. It's forming you into the kind of Christian you want to be anyways. The one who's like, God, if you said it, I'll do it. And if you're providing in this way, you're going to provide all my needs. And so...
And you talked about compromise, so you don't have to compromise. What is that, like, what's your barometer for that? How do you find barometers for what works, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because some people are like, not compromising is not wearing a thong.
For sure.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I don't do that.
Just like, how do we find our compromise?
How do we find our compromise? How we find our compromise?
Like, how do we find, like, okay, this is the line for me?
The line, yeah.
Do you think it's a heart posture thing, or do you think there's a clear line for people?
I think dance, it's so physical that there are some hard lines in the sand. That when you can tell that the breakdown of the project is to sell sensuality, for me, that's a line. I'm just not interested. I used to say, if my grandma would feel embarrassed watching me, I probably shouldn't do this. If I wouldn't feel proud of this,
right?
You know, I have this one story for you where I was acting on this job, and I auditioned for it, and there was a kissing scene in it, and I just was like, okay, it's just acting. I go through the process, and my wife and I keep talking about it, praying about it, and she's like, I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm like, yeah, I think it's kind of weird. I think in terms of legacy and things being on film, I'm not interested in my kids ever seeing me kiss someone that isn't their mom.
Right.
So, okay. I have to like figure this out. I asked the writer, hey, can we change it? He's like, no, absolutely not. We do a table read a couple days later. We're going to film in like 2 days. And I speak to another woman in the room, and I was like, hey, like my wife and I were just thinking through this, like, you know, this whole kiss scene, it's at the end. It's such a good dream sequence. Like, could we just like, we're like about to kiss and it like cuts to black or something? Is there a way around this? It doesn't have to be this thing. Twitch, she's like, I think we can work something out. Little did I know that was the executive producer. So I actually accidentally went way over the writer's head. He was very upset with me about that. So he called me up and he had some very choice words for me. And yeah, he really gave it to me. He was talking right into my face, just cussing me out. And we just keep talking about it. And I said, hey, I'm sorry that you, like, I am learning. I just told him, like, I am learning what I am comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with.
Right.
And I'm sorry that you are having to deal with that process. I wish that I had figured this out before even working with you. I get that is frustrating. But then I was like, then I kind of had to be very clear with him. I was like, I don't want to pull this card with you, but I do not have to do anything.
Right.
I don't have to do anything. And I think just as a performer, we're so grateful for the opportunity that then when maybe there's an opportunity to compromise, we're so grateful to be in the space that we're just like, yeah, it's fine. I'm just happy to be here. But I think just like, I was happy to act on this project. I was really thrilled. I had been taking a lot of acting classes. This is a huge win career-wise. And I'm prepared to completely walk away from this for my convictions. Like, it's absolutely okay to me. I don't care. Twitch, he was like, okay, cool, I'll think about it. You know? And then we get there like day of, we start filming. He's like, hey, yeah, don't worry about the kiss scene.
Oh, wow.
I was like, awesome.
Wow.
Because I just knew me. And I was like, if you're going to try and pressure me on set, I will walk off set. It's like, I will be an inconvenience. Like, I don't have to look at you the rest of my life. I'm with my wife the rest of my life. Like this is such a non-starter for me. But that level
But you
of
didn't
boldness,
bounce back that energy when he's cussing you out too. I think that's just so key.
yeah.
Is that I don't think you did.
No.
As a Christian,
I mean, it gave me a little bit of oomph to like set the
right.
boundary for sure.
Right. But also like how we handle situations, and look what happens when they're not handled with the worldly way of doing it. And you were able to talk, be vulnerable, but also be just in this situation and say, I don't have to do this, is where I think too people don't understand the energy that we don't have to clap back.
For sure.
And especially if you're working in the world system, that the vulnerability and talking to people like humans and really letting them see the situation.
Absolutely.
It's not like you got your way, but the Lord.
Well, yeah.
heard your cry.
And that was also on the tail end of like my wife and I just praying and fasting and being so clear
For sure.
of exactly how, like, God, would you do this for us? Do we have to have this conversation? It seems like we do. Okay, cool. God, give me boldness because if it gets to that point, I need it. I will need you to help me. Because I'm not often out here laying down boundaries like that. But in that moment, it was just being run by conviction instead of like fear of man.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
So tell me about what you think. Here we are. World is a little crazy right now.
Sure is.
So dance, career, what God's doing. What do you think he's doing, and what would you like to see him do? Like, this is what you do for a living. I mean, you also do some acting, you do other things. You're so multifaceted and talented. But, I just feel like because we've done dance ministry together for so long, what do you think? You think it's phasing out? You think it's phasing up? What do you think is happening right now in the arena of dance as far as trying to touch the world, as trying to be incorporated in the church? Because I feel like I've seen some things shift lately, like not in great ways, and then some in really dynamic ways.
Yeah. Stylistically, dance is changing a lot. What is in pop culture, I think stylistically, everything is hyper fast pictures, very geometric. Just as like a level of technique to thrive in that space, you just need to know how to transition well. That's like a dance note where I see it going, is you have to pick up quickly. The movement is complex and it is very layered. Now, what we're going after, there are fewer films, in my experience, happening right now, fewer TV show things happening. It does seem like there's like a quieting of dance.
Why do you think that happened?
That's
Do you
a great
think
question.
it was a 2020 thing?
There was still a lot happening post 2020. Like, I think because everyone was sitting on their projects, and then when they were clear to work again, it's like, let's work. But I don't know. I think dance is like finding itself. I don't know. It does feel like transitional right now. Even for me, there's like less dance jobs. It's more like artist work. If there's work right now, I haven't seen a lot of TV film work happening. That's just my experience though. That might not be true. I have no idea.
And what do you think that with Kingdom? So kingdom-wise, because I went to be like, let's go watch a movie. I mean, there's like nothing happening. It just feels like there's a lot. I mean, I'm sure people are making movies and all this stuff, but it does feel like there's like a quieting down of things. And then I also feel like in the kingdom, what I saw maybe 15, 20 years ago was like all this ramp up of, bringing dance into the church, bringing flags into the church. We're going to try this thing. And then all of a sudden I feel like it quieted back down a bit.
Yeah.
What do you see in LA with that? I mean, are any of the churches open to dance?
Sometimes. It's usually like one or two people just kind of going after it. I do think.
And is it more performance-based or prophetic?
Just kind of prophetically in the pews. I'm not seeing a lot on stage. I think we are the most disconnected from our bodies that we've ever been. It's so easy to just be in your phone and be in like a digital space, that to actually be grounded in your physical body is something that I feel like the church really needs. I see people like they want it. It's like hovering in them. They have no access to it. And I would just love to see that change. I'm excited for now or never. I wonder if there's like a way to incorporate more like dance for the layman, not just
Maybe you can do that.
Yeah, I'd love
Ballroom in
to.
the spirit.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it for sure. I'll figure out what that means and I'll do it. Yeah. Because, like to give someone a vocabulary to encounter God in their body, he's already in them. Right. But like to move in the spirit, I mean, to give that gift to them would be.
Right. And I think that's where I remember I used to go to a church in, what state was it? In Florida. And there was just so much exploration with dance. I remember I would show up at this lady's Bible study in the morning, and there were 6 ladies. They had, I don't know how many, they got that many flags. I didn't know that those even existed. And how I discovered so much of the presence of God was moving and being connected that way. And so I think for me lately, I've just really wanted to try. I know we talked about it in staff meeting too this last time, is like, what is, like, we are doing DR and we're doing these dance things, but what is God wanting for the greater picture of dance? Like how we need to pray for the industry leaders, how we need to be like connecting, inviting, like even for Now or Never. I'm like, who lives here that is known as a choreographer that might not have giving their life to Jesus? Like there's got to be some things that we move forward into to really capture what God's doing by saying, you know, our quote is changing the face of dance. Like how are we continuing to do that? By going out and doing like what you're doing, but also those of us, like you're out here, you're over here, you're at DR, you're doing so many incredible things that there's these divine connections with that. That I just think I want to explore that more in the days to come too, of like, what is God wanting to do with industry leaders? What is he wanting to do? Because I feel like if they need Jesus, and they need to, I just think about how much it would change, how much we'd see change with some of the things, even bookings and jobs and creativity. And there is so much creativity in the world. And that's where I get annoyed sometimes that like we need to not rival. People say we need to rival the world. Well, we're not here to fight the world, but we're here to be excellent. So if you're going to capture anything and any of their attention, yet they're just like the new movements that are out and see these videos I see and the creativity, I'm like, where's the church? In all of that. So anyway, I'm getting the 5-minute hand signals, but here's the deal. Patrick, what I want you to do is I want you to pray. I want you to let's declare, let's pray over people that, you know, I feel like there needs to be more views out there.
Whoa.
I feel like there is too many people afraid, and they either want to just stick to the 4 walls of the church. They want to be safe and just stick with Christians outside the 4 walls of the church. But if there was more people like you that weren't afraid that they were going to get compromised, and a lot of that is foundation. I don't think anybody should just throw yourself out in LA if you have absolutely no foundation, absolutely just met like there's just so many things that foundationally, but I want you to pray for, that sounds so weird, more views, but people that know how to be in the world, not of the world, but they're still out with the world. They still can go eat with a Nicodemus. They can still let the woman pour the oil like Jesus did, and everybody's freaking out, but he's not, because that's still something we talk about today, that her worship was expensive. So I just feel like you carry a mantle with that, and I would love for you to pray.
Wow. Yeah, I'd love to pray. Yeah, Jesus, we just thank you for the opportunity to serve you in the way that you've called us. God, in the name of Jesus, I break off all fear to those listening. Fear that they have of even communing with you in their own physical body, God. I pray that they would find that communing with you internally would be a safe thing to do. Right. Lord, wherever they are caught up in their minds, God, I pray you would bring them back down into their bodies where you are, what you have made, what you will ultimately redeem. God, I just thank you. I thank you and I praise you, Father. Lord, I pray for those who are hearing this and crave the more of God with their dancing. God, I pray for boldness in their hearts to be uncompromised, to be children of light as they step out of the church, God. Right. Stepping out of the church and into the world, Lord, and letting the gifts that you've given be a witness and a testimony to your goodness, to how you provide, to how gentle you are, to how creative you are, to how you can have so much power. Lord, I thank you for your blessing on this, that we do not go out alone. Right. You've already gone before us, Lord. I thank you for the good works that you've set up for us, that we may simply walk in them. I thank you that you make our paths straight, Lord. You establish our steps. You do these things on our behalf, that we simply say yes and get moving, Lord. I pray that whatever sparks have been brought up in their hearts listening, that they would be fanned into a flame, that they would partner with the word spoken over their lives, and just take the next right step.
Yes.
Just one step. Yes. We don't need to see the end from the beginning. We just need to take a step with you, Lord. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Wow. Well, we have too much to talk about to do this in an hour, because I know we're at an hour, but Patrick,
I'd love to come back. It was fun.
You have to come back, because there's so many things we could talk about, and I just love your vulnerability. I love your just chill nature. It just brings such a cool, it really does for me. It always brings such a different facet of who Jesus is in so many ways, and I just really love you, and I thank you for being a part of our ministry, but more than anything, being a part of our family. And Alec and I value you as son, and I love your family and your girls. I am third grandma. Just remember that.
I will never forget.
Okay, so thank you guys. I hope to see you again on our next podcast. And thank you, Patrick, again for coming.
Wonderful.